Srinivasa iti Anvita Kushityaha Chiram Vijayatam Bhuvi Yastatmiya Paramvara Guru Vairagya Bhagyo Dado Vedantam Tasaravantamanagate Shri Srinivasat Guroho Shri Shailanme Kaustubhasidanayam Tayo Nidaya Shri Nidaya Vande Sadhukatakshakelli Nilayam Shri Krishna Sadeshikam Shri Narayana Yogindra Varadari Kripashrayam Rankesha Padavinatam Shri Divasa Munim Bhaje Vyasam Vasishthanaptaram Shaktev Pautramakalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukadatam Taponidhim Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshinim Yatpadamboruhadhyana Vidhvastasheshakalmaya Vastutam upayatom Yamuneyam Namamitam. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, rAmAnujaya Namaha. Offering my pranamams to all the Bhagavatas in this Goshti, I will start today's session. Last week we covered, we just started with the mahavakya and we went through some of the important concepts in the Vishishtadvaita Siddhanta as propounded by Bhagavad rAmAnuja and our Acharyas. Today we continue with the mahavakya and then look at some of the other aspects which are described by Bhagavad rAmAnuja in this mahavakya. And like I said earlier, the sampradaya is also that we spend some time thinking about and understanding some basics of our Siddhanta in this mahavakya, and that is also the purpose of putting everything together in a mahavakya by Bhagavad rAmAnuja as shown to us by the Vyakhyata Sri Vedanta Deshika. So we continue with the mahavakya, and we started with Shriyapatihi Bhakti Yogam Avatarayamasa. We contemplated on these two aspects last time. Now we go to the next part of the description. The next word that Bhagavad rAmAnuja uses, Svetara Samastavastu Vilakshana Ananta Jnana Nandaika Swarupaha. This is one of the most important parts of this mahavakya. And before we start this, there is one particular aspect from the Ubhaya Linga that we discussed last time. Ashesha Dosha Pratyanikatva and Kalyanaikatanaha. Kalyanaikatanaha, there only abode of only auspicious qualities. So there is a Eka Kalyana Eka Tanaha. Eka is avadharana. It stresses that only that is true. So what is the purpose of this Kalyana Eka Tana? Eka, what is the need for that avadharana? From the Vyakhyana we come to know also that at any point of time the Brahman that is propounded and established in the Vedantas is without any blemish, is far from any blemish. So at the time of Bhagavad rAmAnuja, there were 3 Brahma Sutra Vyakhyanas, commentaries that were available. The earliest is by Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada, and the next was from Bhaskaracharya called the Veda Vedavada, and the next one, another one, the third one is from Yadava Prakasha, that is also Veda Vedavada. So in all these Siddhantas, Bhagavad rAmAnuja shows in all these Vedatta Sangraha and Sri Bhashya and other Granthas that Brahman is having defects. So all the defects that are going to be there is going to be in Brahman itself. In the Advaitavada, avidya is the dosha, and avidya does not have any ashraya, and it has to be in Brahman because everything else is false, mithya. So ultimately, avidya, which is also a mithya, is the Brahman himself is affected by the dosha. And in Bhaskaracharya's Siddhanta, Upadhi is another Satya. Apart from Param Brahma, Upadhi is the second truth, second reality, Satya. And Brahman is affected by Upadhi and gets the Jiva Bhava. So Brahman gets the dosha. That is called Aupadhika Bheda Bhedavada. Yadava Prakasha's view in his Siddhanta, Brahman undergoes Swabhavika Parinama. So Brahman has got three Shaktis. Param Brahma becomes into three Shaktis, that is Chetana, Chetana and Ishvara. Chita, Achita, Ishvara. So there is Swabhavika Parinama. And all these, when they merge into Paramatma, all the doshas again go into Param Brahma. So in all the three Siddhantas, Brahman ultimately ends up having the doshas, whereas in our Siddhanta, according to looking at all the Vedanta Vakyas, Bhagavad Ramanuja has established in a most wonderful way, following all the previous Acharyas and the Shruti, Smriti, Pramanas, everything, that Bhagavan is Kalyanaika Tanaha. He is far from any of the defects, untouched by any of the defects, and he is the abode of only auspicious qualities. So that is another important thing that we have to just understand in the word Kalyanaika Tanaha. Then he goes about giving all the wonderful nature of Brahman, Paramatma. Svetara samasta vastu vilakshana ananta jnana anandaika swarupaha. So Svetara samasta vastu vilakshanaha is a very important aspect of Parabrahman. Svetara samasta vastu vilakshanaha. Sva itara samasta vastu vilakshanaha. Everything other than himself. He is different from everything other than himself. So there are many aspects in which Paramatma is different. The three tattvas, what is the itara vastu? Itara samasta vastu. What does it consist of? So primarily at a very high level, we can classify into two groups. One is Swatantra and another is Paratantra. So Paramatma is Swatantra. Everything else, Itara samasta vastu, is Paratantra. So because everything is Paratantra and he is the only Swatantra, that is one Vilakshanatva that Paramatman has, that everything is dependent on him. That is the one first level of differentiation. So here Vastu shows also, Bhagavad Ramanuja uses this word Vastu in many places, even in Vedartha Sangraha Mangala Shloka he uses this Vastu, Ashesha Chidachid Vastu Sheshine he uses. And Sudarshana Suri in the Vyakhyana says Vastu shows it's a reality. It is not mithya or it is not false. The word Vastu shows it is a real entity. So everything else is also real. That is propounded right from the beginning. And Svetara Samasta Vastu Vilakshanatva, Yamunacharya says in a very beautiful phrase, Swadhina Trividha Chetana Chetana Swarupa Sthiti Pravritti Bhedam. This phrase as it is used by Bhagavad Ramanuja also, which is first used by Srimad Yamunacharya. Here, Swadhina Trividha Chetana Chetana Swarupa Sthiti Pravritti Bhedam. At the high level, we said there are three tattvas, Chita, Achita and Ishvara, or Chetana, Chetana and Ishvara. Now, there are three more subdivisions in Chetana and Achetana. And all these Trividha Chetana, Trividha Achetana, their Swarupa, Sthiti, Pravritti, all these things are Swadhina, under the control of Paramatma. So everything else is Paratantra. He is Swatantra. He is having everything everything is controlled by him. In this, the Trividha Achetana is classified in this particular way as Triguna, which is Prakriti, or it is also called Avyakta, it is matter. And Kala is the second Tattva, Shuddha Sattva is the third one. So in this classification, there are different ways of classification. This is according to Vedanta Deshika, this is how Purvacharyas have classified, in which we will see into different aspects. All these things come even in future in many places. We try to understand at very high level right now. Achetana, Triguna is Prakriti, which is Ashraya to Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, these three gunas. It is a Dravya, and it is also a Nitya Tattva, and it is called Avyakta. All the time it is undergoing change or Parinama in its Swarupa. And this is the matter. And all the Achetana, in the world, what we see is all made up of these modifications of this Prakriti. It undergoes various modifications. It becomes Mahat, Ahankara, Panchabhutas, Indriyas, and everything. So the body and the sense organs, Sharira and Indriyas, all these are made of Triguna, Prakriti. And that is Achetana. That is not, Achetana means which is not Ashraya to Jnana. Chaitanya Ashrayatva is not there to Achetana. That is matter. And the second one is Kala. Kala is not it is different from Triguna, and it is Triguna Rahita Vishesha Dravya. It does not have all these gunas, but it is Vibhu. It is all pervading, and it is a Nitya Tattva again, Kala. And Kala is there even in Pralaya, even in Paramapada, everywhere Kala is there, which we can know from various Shruti Pramanas. Tadeva Somya Idam Agra Asit. Agre means before Srishti, that Agre shows Kala, time. And Sada Pashyanti Suryaha, Sada is also an indication of time. So these Pramanas show that Kala is existing all the time. And the difference between Kala existing in the Prakriti Mandala and elsewhere. In the Prakriti Mandala, everything is under the control of Kala, whereas in Paramapada, it is not so. Kala is under the control of others. So Kala doesn't rule over there. Na Kalas Tatra Vai Prabhuhu, it is said. There it is not ruling anything. So that is why there is no aging and all those things there. And so that is another Tattva, Kala. The third one is Shuddha Sattva, which is also called Nitya Vibhuti, Paramavyoma, which is Paramapada. So Shuddha Sattva is another Dravya. There it is made of only Sattva, but this Sattva is very different from the Sattva which is in Prakriti, which is matter. So Shuddha Sattva is Jnanatmaka, Swayam Prakasha, but it is also classified under Achetana because it is not Ashraya to Jnana. So it cannot know itself. Ashraya to Jnana means one which can know itself is Jnanatmaka. That is Jnanashraya, Chaitanya. One which cannot know itself is Achetana, which is not Ashraya to Jnana. So Shuddha Sattva is Jnanatmaka, made of pure Sattva, which is different from the Sattva of matter, which contains matter is inert. Shuddha Sattva is also classified as Achetana only in that particular way. And there is another classification where there is Jada and Ajada, where Shuddha Sattva comes under Ajada. So at a high level we can say that Trividha Achetana is Triguna, Kala and Shuddha Sattva. These are the three types of Achetanas. And all these three types of Achetanas exist because of Paramatmans. That is their Swarupa. Sthiti is they continue to exist. Their continuation is also under the control of Paramatman. Their pravritti, whatever changes, functions, modifications they undergo is also under the control of Paramatman. So some of them have got Swarupa Parinama, some of them don't have. All these things we will see later on when we go through in more detail. Chetana is, for example, Shuddha Sattva, which is an Achetana, which becomes the Bhogya, Bhogasthana and everything in Paramapada. So all the Muktas, Nityas use Shuddha Sattva to take various forms, and things like that. They are all told in the Shruti. So it becomes Bhogasthana and everything. So that way, these have got their own characteristics, which we will probably see as we go through later. And chetana, Trivida chetana has got three divisions of chetana. Under the chetana. Chetana is chaitanya ashrayatva. Chaitanyatve sati sheshatvam is the definition, lakshana of chetana. Anutva, chaitanyatva and sheshatva. These are the three important dharmas of chetanas. One is they are anus, they are atomic, and they are jnanashraya, and they are jnana swarupa, and they are sheshabhutas to Paramatma, that is subservient to Paramatma. So there are three types of chetanas, baddha, mukta and nitya. Baddha chetanas are those who are in the samsara due to their karmas. They are experiencing all the sukha, dukkha in the samsara. Mukta chetanas, those who have escaped the samsara bandha by doing the upaya, moksha upaya. So at one point of time, they had contact with samsara. Nityas, nitya chetanas are those who are all the time present in Paramapada. They never came in contact with samsara. So these are the three types of, and why there should be a classification nitya means there are many Shruti Pramanas which shows that nityas do exist. Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. Surayaha is Nitya Suris. And so, Yatra Rishayah Prathamajaye Puranaha, all these Shruti Pramanas say that there are certain Chetanas existing as Nityas because of Paramatma's Sankalpa, and they are all the time existing there, doing Nitya Kainkarya of Paramatma. They never came in contact with samsara. Muktas are those who had contact with samsara at one point of time, and then they got liberated and they went to Paramapada. And Baddhas are in the samsara. These three types of chetanas, their sarupa, sthiti, pravritti, that is their very existence, their continuance, and all the functions that they do, all are under the control of Paramatman again. So, though they are all chetanas, they are all jnanashraya, there is a lot of difference in their svabhava. So that is what the three types of chetanas. So all these three chetanas and achetanas, everything is under the control of Paramatma. That is how Paramatma is svetara vilakshana. Samasta vastu vilakshana. So everything is reality. And when it comes to chetana, they are made of jnana swarupa and jnana guna. Both are there. So swarupa is, we can say, a substance, the substance out of which it is made. And so it is, the substantive nature is also consciousness, and there is an attribute. So it's called attributive consciousness. That attribute, which is jnana, is called dharma bhuta jnana. Attribute is dharma, and the jnana which is present as the dharma of chetana is called dharma bhuta jnana. And it is also a dravya in one way because it undergoes contraction and expansion due to karma. Chetanas, the dharma bhuta jnana is contracted, and when they get liberated, become muktas, it is evolved completely and it exists in its pure original nature. That means there is no contraction of any type. So their sarupa is also jnana. They have a dharma also called jnana. That is something like a sun or a light, you can see. The sun has got a substance, the base, the locus, and it also emits light, which is like its dharma, and which can undergo contraction and expansion, etc. like that. So like that, jivatmas are also having a substantive nature, which is called the swarupa jnana, and they have a dharma jnana, which is called dharma bhuta jnana, which is their attribute, which is also of consciousness. All the things that the jivatma know, external to them, their own nature, that the only thing jivatma, they know that their own presence, aham, what they know, I am there, I, that knowledge of I is, they can know themselves. And the dharmabhuta jnana shows everything else to the jivatma. To its ashraya, dharmabhuta jnana makes everything known to the Ashraya. So through Dharmabhuta Jnana, Jivatmas come to know everything outside. So that is how the nature of Chetana, the Swarupa of Chetana is defined. And the Shuddha Sattva, like I said, is Swayam Prakasha, and Dharmabhuta Jnana is also Swayam Prakasha. In some classifications, Dharmabhuta Jnana and Shuddha Sattva are classified together as Ajada Tattvas, Ajada Dravyas. And so that we will see different classifications. And all these things, the Adhina is Swarupadhina and Sankalpadhina. There are two types of Adhina, the Swadhina, Trividha. So the very existence is due to Paramatman. So their nature, their Swarupa is under the control of Paramatman. And all their functions are under also the control of, according to the Sankalpa of Paramatman. So we don't really realize that all the functions that we are doing is under the control of Paramatman, but it is told in the Shrutis and Shastras that it is like that. And Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam is told in Bhagavad Gita also, it comes later, where for everything that is required, Adhishtanam, Tatakarta, Adhishtana, Karta, Karanancha Pratak Vidam, Vidhascha Pratak Cheshtaha, Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. All these things are required for anything that we do. So there is a Paramatma Sankalpa behind everything that we do. So everything is under the Sankalpadhina, all the functions of the Chetanas. And there are these two kinds of dependence, that's Swarupadhina and Sankalpadhina. How does Paramatman control the Chetanas and Achetanas in these two ways? What is that relationship? He is defined in a very unique way as Shariratma Bhava. That is Sharira Shariri Bhava or Shariratma Bhava, which is very clearly told in Brihadaranyaka Shruti, Yaha Prithiviyam Tishtanna Prithivya Antaraha Yam Prithivi Naveda Yasya Prithivi Shariram Yaha Prithivim Antaro Yamayati Sate Atma Antaryami Amrtaha. So this is about Prithvi, Agni, Tejas, which are all Prakriti, which are all Achetanas. So it is told that he is present as Antaratma in all the Achetana Tattvas, and he controls everything, being its Antaryami. And Shruti also says, Yaha Atmani Tishthanna, Atmanantaraha, Yam Atma Naveda, Yasya Atma Shariram, Yaha Atmanam Antaro Yamayati, Sata Atma Antaryami Amrtaha. So even in Jivatma, Paramatma is present as Antaryami. He controls the Jivatma also from being the Antaryami. All his functionalities, Swarupa, everything is controlled. So this is called Shariratma Bhava. So Sharira is defined in a very unique way. It is not what is defined by other darshanas, like in the Nyaya Darshana. They say Bhogayatanam Shariram or Cheshtendriyartha Ashrayatvam Shariram. Like this, some definitions are given. But Bhagavad Ramanuja shows that these are all not complete lakshanas, definitions. And he gives a very unique definition to Sharira. He says, Yasya Chetanasya Yat Dravyam Sarvatmana Swarthe Niyantum Dharayitum Chashakyam Tat Sheshataika Swarupancha Tattasya Shariram Itaraha Shariri. This is the complete definition of Sharira given by Bhagavad Ramanuja. Yasya Chetanasya Yat Dravyam. That Dravya means it is a substance. Sharira is substance. And for a Chetana, that substance is Sarvatmana Swarthe Niyantum Dharayitum Cha Shakyam. So it is completely controlled by the Chetana. The Dravya, the substance which is completely controlled by a Chetana, completely supported by a Chetana, and it is subservient to the Chetana. It is meant for the purpose of the Chetana, the Sheshadaika Swarupa. That is called the Sharira. This is a complete definition of Sharira. If you look at our own case, our Jivatma and our body. The body is supported by the Jivatma. When the Jivatma leaves, the body cannot stand by itself. And the body is under the control of the Jivatma. And the body is meant for the purpose of Jivatma. So all these things, it's subservient to the Jivatma. So all these things are the form. So there is three kinds of relationship here. One is Niyamana, another is Dharana, another is Sheshatva. So niyamya, niyamaka. Niyamya is sharira, niyamaka is atma. Then adheya, adhara. Adheya is sharira, adhara is atma. Then shesha, sheshi. Shesha is sharira, sheshi is atma. So this relationship exists between our body and ourselves, our jivatma. The same thing exists between jivatma and paramatma. So jivatma is niyamya, paramatma is niyamaka. Jivatma is adheya, paramatma is adhara. And jivatma is shesha, paramatma is sheshi. So this relationship is called sharira shariri bhava or shariratma bhava. And this is a very unique contribution of Bhagavad Ramanuja to the entire philosophy, world philosophy, that sharira shariri bhava. And with this concept, he was able to explain all the Shruti Vakyas without any contradiction, without any giving lesser kind of secondary meanings, or neglecting some of the Vakyas and all these things, taking everything as important. So this is a very unique contribution of Bhagavad Ramanuja. So, and everything is meant for his purpose. The Shesha is also defined by Bhagavad Ramanuja as Paragata Atishaya Adhane Chaya Upade Tvameva Yasya Sarupam Saha Sheshaha Anyaha Sheshi. So the Shesha creates Atishaya to the Sheshi. That means it's subservient in all ways. That's what is the meaning of Shesha. And everything exists for Paramatman, and due to his will, due to his sankalpa, all these things we can see wonderfully in Kuratalvar says in Vaikuntha Stava, Ichhata eva tava vishwa padartha satta. It is only because of your sankalpa, your will, that everything exists. All the padartha, their satte, their existence is because of your will. Bhattar says, Upadatte satta sthiti niyamanadyehi chidachitau swam uddishya shriman iti vadati vaga upanishadi. Upadatte satta sthiti niyamanadyehi chit achitau swam uddishya shriman iti vadati vaga upanishadi. All the Upanishad says that Sriman Narayana uses everything for his own purpose. All the sthiti, satta, niyamana, everything, by all these activities, he, for chit and achit, everything, he is willed that everything exists for him, for his purpose. And so this is the Shesha Sheshi Bhava between the everything else and Paramatma. So this is also differentiates Paramatman from everything else. Svetara Vilakshanatva is this way. This is established by Bhagavad Ramanuja in Vedartha Sangraha in a wonderful way, in very great detail, because Svetara Samasta Vilakshanatva is something very important. And then there are further certain questions asked. Svetara Vilakshanaha is different from, but we hear that in Moksha, the Jivatma attains Jnanananda, everything equal to Paramatman. There is Jnana Bhoga Samya. Paramam Samyam Upayati, he says, Shruti says, Paramam Samyam Upayati. He attains Paramasamya with Paramatman. How is that possible? Then how does Paramatma become Vilakshana? So, one is that the Samya, or the equality that we see between, that Shrutis say between Jivatma and Paramatma, is very well established. And how it is, what is the equality, in what aspects, by Brahma Sutrakara, wonderfully in certain sutras, he says, Bhogamatra Samya Lingacha. Bhogamatra Samya. Bhoga means Anandanubhava. Anandanubhava is equal to Paramatman and Jivatma. When Jivatma attains moksha, the Anandanubhava is equal. So Taittiriya Shruti says, Sarvan Kaman Ashnute Saha Vipaschita Brahmana. So he enjoys all the Ananda equal to that of Paramatman. And another Brahma Sutra says, Jagat Vyapara Varjam Prakaranat Asannihitatvacha. Jagat Vyapara Varjam. So if he becomes equal to Paramatman, does it mean that his jnana is fully evolved? He also becomes like a Sarvajna. Can he do creation? Jagat Vyapara and all that. Shutakara says, Jagat Vyapara Varjam. He cannot do Srishti and all that, because that kind of Achintya Shakti he does not have. Jivatma is Anuswarupa, Paramatma is Vibhuswarupa, and he has got all the Achintya Shakti, by which he can become the Upadana Karana for Jagat Srishti and all that. So Jivatma, even in the Moksha, Mukta state, he does not have that kind of capacity. So the Samya, Parama Samya which is told is in respect of Jnana and Bhoga. That is, his Jnana becomes Asankuchita, like Paramatman, equal to that of Paramatman, Dharmabhuta Jnana, and his Anandanubhava is equal to Paramatman. So only in those aspects there is Samya. When we say that two objects are same, it can be in some aspects, in some akara, not in every aspect. Two objects cannot be same in all the aspects all the time. So this Samya it is explained as Samya in Jnana and Bhoga. So that is how he is still Svetara Vilakshana. He is different from everything else. So this Svetara Samasta Vastu Vilakshana is unique to Paramatman, and he is having everything under his control. He is the Swatantra Tattva, he is Vibhu, and he creates and is the Satya Sthiti, and then the Swarupa, all the pravrittis, everything is under his Swarupa Adhina and then Sankalpa Adhina, both. So that is the definition given, the explanation given for Svetara Samasta Vilakshanaha. So that is a very important dharma, the aspect of knowing the Paramatman's Swarupa. The next important aspect is Ananta. Svetara Samasta Vilakshana Ananta Jnananandaika Swarupaha. This Ananta is also, so these are all very deep concepts, very important concepts that Bhagavad rAmAnuja establishes in great detail in works such as Vedanta Sangraha, Sri Bhashya and all this. So Ananta is another important dharma of Paramatma, that is Sarupa Nirupaka Dharma it's called. So that establishes the Sarupa of Paramatman uniquely as different from everything else. So Ananta is defined as Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Rahitatva. That is, he is not limited by time, space or object. This is the meaning of Ananta. And there are many Shruti Pramanas. Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam, Mundakopanishad says that Vibhu shows that he is Ananta. Vibhu means everywhere he exists. Vishwamevedam Purushaha, Mahanarayana Upanishad says. The entire world is him only. So this Trividha Paricheda Rahitya, that means the limitedness in these three aspects, Desha, Kala and Vastu, is not there for Paramatman. Which means Desha Paricheda is he exists in this particular place. At the same time, he cannot exist in another place. That is Desha Paricheda. So Paramatman does not have that. That means he can exist in all the places at the same time without any limitation. Then Kala Paricheda Rahitya. That is, he exists in a particular time, does not exist in another time. That does not happen to Paramatma. So he is Sarvakala, every time, all the time, everywhere he exists. Then Vastu Paricheda Rahitatva. That is very important aspect. That is, Vastu is object. That means he exists in this object, he does not exist in another object. This does not happen to him. At the same time, because of his Vibhuswarupa, that is his Ananta, by his substance itself, the substantive nature itself is all pervasive. He exists everywhere without leaving anything. Antar Bahishya Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. Antaha Bahi Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. Everywhere he exists without leaving anything. That is called Vastu Paricheda Rahitya. So Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Rahitatva is defined as one word, Ananta. This differentiates Paramatman from everything else. So this is also told in the Shruti, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Satyatva Jnanatva Anantatva. The Anantatva is one of the very important aspects of Paramatman. And another way that Vastu Paricheda Rahitya can be present for Paramatman is called Sarva Vastu Samanadhikaranya Yogyatva. This is a very very deep concepts, very important concept of Vishishtadvaita, Samana Adhikaranya. That is something we will try to understand little bit about this Samana Adhikaranya. Those of you who have attended Sri Bhashya classes would have, there it is dealt with in much more detail, in great detail. But here I will try to cover a little bit about this aspect because that is something very basic to our Siddhanta, and we need to understand a little bit about this Samanadhikaranya. So when it is not Tadatmya, but it is because Tadatmya means when two things become identical. When you say that he exists in this particular object, when you say he exists in this particular object, is it by Tadatmya? That means you cannot separate them. It is by Aikya, which cannot be. So what the rAmAnuja says is Paraspara Viruddha Vastu, which two objects of totally opposite nature cannot be combined to become one, which Tadatmya. But the relationship can be Sharira Shariri Bhava. Like in our own body, for example, our body is there and we are there, Jivatma inside. Everybody experiences that. The body, the nature of the body is what? It is matter. It is Panchabhotika and it is ever changing. It is inert. It cannot know itself. It is not Jnanashraya. It is inert matter. And the Jivatman is Jnana Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa, and he can know the himself. He is Jnanashraya. So the difference between the body and the Atma is so much. One is, they are implied entirely different, but they exist together as if they are one unit. So when we call somebody Devadatta, come here, then what are we addressing? Are we addressing only the body or the Atman? We are addressing the Atman who is having the chetana as his body together. Sharira Vishishta Atma. So there is also Atma Vishishta Paramatma, Jivatma Vishishta Paramatma. My father used to say everybody is Vishishta Advaita that way. That means everybody has Sharira Vishishta, Jiva Vishishta, Paramatma. All the three tattvas are there in everyone. So that is everybody is Vishishta Advaita, he used to say. So this Tadatmya which we see that they exist as one unit is through the Sharira Shariri Bhava. Because two objects of entirely different nature cannot combine by Tadatmya or Aikya. It is Atyanta Asambhava. It is never possible. So it is not, and it is also not Sarvavastu Samanadhikaranya Yogyatva is also not through everything becoming Mithya. That is, Brahman only is Satya, everything is Mithya, it is false. That is how Samanadhikaranya, if you say, everything which doesn't exist, Mithya, it cannot be equated that way. So we say that everything is true, everything is Satya, Samasta Vastu, means all are real. So there is Chit, Achit, Chetana, Achetana, the entire world having innumerable number of varieties of Achetanas are there. All Chetanas, innumerable Chetanas are there. And they all exist, they are all Satya, and they all exist with the Paramatman, with the Sharira Shariri Bhava. And that is how the Samanadhikaranya, Nammalvar says it's a very wonderful way. Epparulum Tanai, he became everything. He says, Yavayum Yavarum Tanai, he became everything himself. That is the Samanadhikaranya, it is called. And when two objects of totally different nature are combined, it is not possible to merge and become Aikya, that is one without one entity with identity in Swarupa, cannot happen. Vishnu Purana Shloka says, Atma Paramatmanor Yogaha Yoga Ityabhidiyate Mithya etat Anyad Dravyam hi Naiti Tad Dravyatam Yataha. Yoga means when there is a sambandha. Yoga is sambandha, joining or combination. So Atma, Paramatma, when they are together, when they are combined, it's called yoga. That is yoga when we try to merge with Paramatman. So what is this merging in Paramatman? Is it Aikya? That means, do we lose our Swarupa, our identity, and do we become Paramatman himself when we merge? Then the Vishnu Purana says, if you think that it is merging and become identity, mithya etat, that is false, that cannot happen. Why? Anyad dravyam hi naitita dravyatam yatha. One dravya which is entirely of different nature cannot become another dravya which is of opposite nature. So the difference between the nature of Prakriti, which is inert matter, Chetana, which is Anuswarupa and which is Paradhina, and Paramatma, which is Vibhuswarupa, he is Swadhina, they are very different. So one cannot become another by identity, by Aikya, by merging. So this relationship of what Shrutis say, Laya or Aikya and all this, they are all to be taken the meaning of Sharira, Shariri Bhava, Antaryami, Paramatma is there always. So there is no Aikya of two opposite objects, that identity. That is why that is very important concept of our Siddhanta, that Jivatma cannot become, when they merge with the Paramatma, he doesn't lose his Swarupa, or Jivatma is not Mithya. So all these things are ruled out in our Siddhanta. So that is told in everywhere, and this particular aspect of two dravyas which are very different cannot join. Even Nama-Rupa says in the most wonderful way. He says, Kudamayai Kudinalum in one Pashura. Kudamayai Kudinalum. Those which cannot be combined, even if you join them, Avanum Avane, Ivanum Ivane. He remains him only, and Paramatman remains Paramatman only, Jivatman remains Jivatman only. That is told in a most wonderful way by Nama-Rupa also. So this Samanadikaranya is because of many aspects. Sarva Vastu Samanadikaranya. What is this Samanadikaranya? So we have to understand a few aspects, concepts, to understand this Samanadikaranya of Paramatman, how he exists as everything, and without getting changed, affected by any of the defects. So the very first thing is that Brahman is Jagat Karana, he is Upadana Karana and Nimitta Karana, unlike anything else seen here. So Jagat Karanatva of Paramatma, in the first chapter, the first two adhyayas of Brahma Sutras have got 4 adhyayas. In the first 2 adhyayas, Jagat Karanatva of Paramatman is established. In the first adhyaya it is established, second adhyaya, others are, it is not Prakriti, it is not Jivatma, all these things are established. So when anything that is a Karana, there is a cause and effect relationship. So the effect has got many causes, many Karanas in this world that we see. So one is called Upadana Karana, which is called material cause. Another is Nimitta Karana, it's called efficient cause or intelligent cause. Another is Sahakari Karana, which is called instrumental cause. So when we make a pot, for example, there is a potter and he uses a mud which has the material, and he uses all the stick and the wheel and all those instruments. So stick and wheel are all called Sahakari Karana, instrumental causes. The material mud is called the Upadana Karana, or the material cause, and the potter himself is the intelligent cause or efficient cause. He is the Nimitta Karana, and the effect is the pot, that is the Karya. So there are these 3 types of Karanas, and there is Karya. In this world what we see is that Upadana and Nimitta are never the same. That means the mud itself cannot transform itself into the pot. It needs an intelligent cause, that is the Nimitta Karana. And the potter cannot become pot himself. He needs another material like mud to make a pot. So a potter can only be a Nimitta Karana, mud can only be Upadana Karana, and both of them cannot exist in the same person in what we see here in this world, in this Prakritika world. Whereas with respect to Paramatman, the Shruti says it need not be like that, because his capability, his Achintya Shakti, his capability is so much that we cannot understand, and Shruti Pramana says he became everything. So it is established in Brahma Sutras very clearly. Brahmavanam Brahmasa Vriksha Asit. It says he became Upadana, he became Nimitta, Brahmatya Tishthata, he was Adhara to everything. So all these, there are many Shruti Pramanas Bhagavad rAmAnuja establishes in Brahma Sutra Bhashyas and Vedanta Sangraha and other works, that he is everything. The Sakala Jagat Karanatva is there for Paramatma. So this is the first aspect we need to understand, that Brahman himself is Upadana Karana also, Nimitta Karana also for the Jagat, for the world. Because when we say mud is transformed into pot, we say everything made of mud is Mridatmaka. That is, it is made of mud, whether it is a house or it is a doll, it is a pot, whatever we make out of mud, Mrit, everything is Mridatmaka. Whereas in this world, if you see, everything is Brahmatmaka. That is, Brahma is being the Upadana, he is Antaryami, and everything is Sharira to him. So there is a change in the Sharira, and Brahman remains as the Atma, Antaryami, and everything is Brahmatmaka. So Brahma is the Upadana Karana, and he is also Nimitta Karana. By his Sankalpa only he creates everything. That way he is a Nimitta Karana. So all these things are established in various Shruti Vakyas, and so we need to understand the first aspect, that he is Upadana Karana also, Nimitta Karana also for the creation. Secondly, he does Anupravesha, that is, he Anena Jivena Atmana Anupravishya Nama-Rupe Vyakaravani. Before Srishti, everything was without the division of name and form. So that means it was all existing just as primordial matter, avyakta. You cannot differentiate one object from another object. There was no name, there was no form existing. And during Srishti, Paramatma did Sankalpa. He did Anupravesha of Jivatma, and he gave them the bodies and everything. He became Antaryami of Prakriti. He made it to transform or change to Mahat, Ahankara, Panchabhutas, Indriyas and everything. So he remained Antaryami in everything by doing Anupravesha, and he controls everything being the Antaryami. And anything which has got a name and form, Nama and Rupa, is because of his Anupravesha. So he exists as Antaryami in everything, whichever has got a name and form. So because everything has got a name and form, because of only his Anupravesha, he is Brahmatmaka. All the names and forms denote Paramatman in the ultimate sense. That is what we have to understand. So everything is his body and Shariratma Bhava. That is true. There is transformation in the body. The Atma remains unchanged. And this is told in Shrutis and Shruti Pramanas in many, many ways. And there are many synonyms used for Sharira also, like Amsha, Mamaiva Amsho Jiva Loke, Vapuhu, Tani Sarvani Tad Vapuhu. Sharira is directly used. Yasya Prithvi Shariram, Yasya Atma Shariram, Tanuhu, Tat Sarvam Vai Hares Tanuhu, Vibhutihi, that is also used. Rupa is used. So all these are synonyms to Sharira. And there are so many pramanas to say that everything exists as his prakara, being his body, his Sharira. So that is another aspect that we need to understand during Srishti. And because he did Anupravesha and did Nama and Rupa and exists as Antaryami, all the names in the real sense denote Paramatman only. That is called Aparyavasana Vritti. That is, every word has got many vrittis, Abhidha Vritti, Lakshana Vritti, like that, Apacharika and all that. So Aparyavasana Vritti means, Paryavasana means ending, stopping at a particular place. That is, it ends there. Nishkarshaka Shabdas they are called. So when there is a name called Devadatta, for example, when we say Devadatta come here, we mean that the Devadatta Jiva who is in that body. So if you have heard of Ajamila's Vrittanta, he named his son Narayana, and he actually meant the Narayana Paramatma who is Antaryami of Jivatma also, and he called, and Narayana came actually. So that is, he used the Aparyavasana Vritti, because every word does mean Paramatman in the ultimate sense. That is called Aparyavasana Vritti. A word like Agni, for example. Agni, if you see, if you say Nishkarshaka Shabda, use it only for matter. It can be just the Panchabhuta, Tejas, that is fire. You can call fire as Agni, which is Tejas, which is Achetana, which is Panchabhutika. Or when you say Agnaye, Swaha, when you offer Havis to Agni, we use the word Agni. There we mean the Devata to whom we are offering through this fire which we see in the Homakunda. We are offering the havis to the Devata. So the Uddeshya of that Agni is going up to Devata, which means Devata. And those who are totally aware that Paramatman is Antaryami, everything, they offer directly, they mean Agni means the Paramatman who is Antaryami to Agni, the Devata Agni. So it goes to him. Aham hi sarvajnasya bhokta cha prabhurevacha. Krishna says here, everything is ultimate sense, it is coming to me only. I am the Aradhya and I am the Padaprada, he says. So Agni can mean, it can be a Nishkarshaka Shabda, or it can be used with Aparyavasana Vritti to go up to Paramatman. That is called the Aparyavasana Vritti. So Bhagavad Ramanuja says, like even if you see in many karmas that we do, Varunantaryaminam Paramatmanam Avahayami, they say. That is, the Antaratma who is Antaratma Varuna, the Paramatma I am inviting here, is the meaning. So Bhagavad Ramanuja says in Vedartha Sangraha, this Aparyavasana Vritti, this Drishti of Paramatman being the Antaryami in everything, comes only when we study Vedanta. Vedanta Shravanenaiva Vyutpattihi Puryate. Vyutpatti is how the word is declined. The declination of the word is complete only when we study Vedanta, when we understand Vedanta, which say that Paramatman did Anupravesha and then only did Nama-Rupa Vibhajana, which means every word in the ultimate sense means Paramatman. Vedaishcha sarvaihi ahameva vedyaha. Is all told in many places. Sarve Veda et padamamananti. All these things show that. So that is another thing that we have to understand for Samanadikaranya. So this is told in Gita also in many ways. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvanchamai pashyati, and all these things come in future. And this particular Aparyavasana Vritti, that is called Ahangrahopasana. That is, in everything, this is done wonderfully by, there are three distinct examples of people who did Aparyavasana Vritti. That is Ahangrahopasana, it's called. One is Vamadeva, Rishi Vamadeva. In Brihadaranyaka it comes. Rishir Vamadevaha Pratipede. Aham Manurabhavam Suryascha Aham Kakshivana Rishirasmi Vipra. He says Aham Manu, Aham Suryaha. I myself on Manu, I am Surya, like that he says. And the second person who is well known is Prahlada. Prahlada said, Sarvagatvad Anantasya Saeva Aham Avasthitaha Mattas Sarvam Maham Sarvam Mai Sarvam Sanatane. He did Ahangrahopasana. He saw Paramatma everywhere within himself also. And the next is Namalvar. He says most wonderfully in Kadal Jnanam Shaidenum Jnane Yenum. Kadal Jnanam Avenum Jnane Yenum. That Dashaka in the fifth centum which comes most wonderfully says Sarvavastu. He says Ahangrahopasane. I am everything. I am the Samudra. I am the creator of the world. I am Jnana. I am known by Vedas. So Namalvar had that kind of Anusandhana where Aham Brahmasmi. So that word Aham for him meant up to the Paramatman who is there as Antaratma of Jivatma also. So that is the meaning of this. So that is something which we have to understand when we understand Sarvavastu Samanadikaranya. How Paramatman is equated with everything. So that is another important thing. And Upasana has to be done like that. Brahma Sutra says, Atmeti tu upagachanti grahayanti cha. So you have to do Upasana like Atma. Paramatman is your Atman, like that. So Samanadikaranya actually means different words which are attributes which are actually qualifying a common object. So those words are giving different intentions or of the same object, different dimensions or different aspects of the same object. That is called Samanadikaranya. Samana Adhikarana, they are there. Adhikarana is Vibhakti, and you can say Vibhakti, Vachana and all that. They are all same, and there are many words. The definition given by in Vyakarana, Kayyata says, Binna Pravritti Nimittanam Shabdanam Ekasmin Arthe Vrittihi. And Vedanta Deshika says in Nyaya Parishuddhi, Binna Visheshana Dvarena Eka Visheshya Abhidanam Samanadikaranya. That is Visheshana and Visheshya. Visheshana is the attribute, and Visheshya is the object qualified by the attribute. That is called Visheshya. And attribute or the Visheshana. And there are many Visheshanas which can actually qualify one object. And there are other darshanas, they say Visheshana is always Vyavartaka. They are only meant for negation. So in Advaita Siddhanta, for example, they say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahma cannot be denoted by any word. So when you say Satya, you have to say Asatyad Vyavrittam. It is not Asatya, you can say. That is the purpose of Satya, they say. We say, no, it is not true. Satya is telling that Brahma has the Visheshana of Satyatva. He has Jnanatva, Anantatva. So different Visheshanas. These are all attributes which are qualifying the same object, Brahman. So like we say, Shama, Shamo, Yuva, Samaparimanaha, Devadattaha. When we say, we are giving, there are three attributes, Shamaha, which tells the color of Devadatta. The Nimitta, Pravritti Nimitta of that particular word is to denote the color. Yuva shows the age. He is a youth. Samaparimanaha, he is handsome. He is of the same proportion. So Devadatta is qualified by these three. The same object Devadatta is qualified by multiple attributes which are in the same vibhakti or adhikarana. That is called Samanadikaranya. So they are not, though they in a way we also accept that Visheshanas are Vyavartaka. When we say a person is tall, it means he is different from everything that is short. He is not short. That is also the meaning. But that doesn't mean that he cannot be identified as a tall person at all. So he can still, there are many Visheshanas which are giving different aspects of the same object. So when we say Tat Tvamasi, for example, Tat and Tvam, there are two words here. Tat means Paramatma. Tvam means Shvetaketu. That is, Uddalaka is giving Upadesha to Shvetaketu. That Tat Paramatman is Tvam, you. So the equating here is Tvam is in Jivatma, Tat Paramatma. So do we equate Jivatma and Paramatma? Samanadikaranya rule says that Bhinna Visheshana Dvarena Eka Visheshya Abhidana. That is, the same object has to be qualified. So you cannot equate Paramatman with Jivatman. So the Paramatman who is also Antaryami to Jivatman has to be equated there. Tvama means Brahmatmaka, Jivat, the Shvetaketu who is Brahmatmaka. So the identity is between the Brahma who is Atma of Shvetaketu, identified by the word Tvam, and Paramatma who is identified by Tatu as the Jagat Karana. So Aitadatmyamidam Sarvam Tat Satyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. In that it says everything is Brahmatmaka and you are also Brahmatmaka. So the identity is between Paramatma who is Jagat Karana. Tat means Jagat Karana Paramatma. Tvama means Paramatma who is Antaryami to you. The identity is between Visheshya and Visheshya. So Tvam is also Jivatma, the Paramatma who is qualified by Jivatma. So Vishishta, Jiva Vishishta Paramatma, Deha Vishishta Jiva, Jiva Vishishta Paramatma. That is how Samanadikaranya Paramatma exists as Antaryami in everything. So that is how this is possible. And in Vishnu Purana and other, there are a lot of pramanas, Jyotim Shivishnuhu, Bhonani Vishnuhu, Vanani Vishnuhu, Girayaha, Dishascha, Nadyaha, Samudrascha, Saeva Sarvam. So everything is Vishnu, he says. That means there is Samanadikaranya between Vishnu and everything else. So how is this Samanadikaranya? You have to always equate Visheshya and Visheshya, the object that is qualified. So it cannot be between Visheshana and Visheshya. So when everything that is having Antaryami, Paramatma, and the Paramatman, the identity is between Paramatman and Paramatman, and not removing all the qualities and identifying only. So Jivatma and Paramatma cannot become as one unit. So that is the definition and explanation given for Samanadikaranya in our Siddhanta. And it is told that everything is Brahmatmaka. Krishna says wonderfully, Na tadasti vinayat syat maya bhutam characharam. Na tadasti vinayat syat maya bhutam characharam. Maya vina bhutam yat characharam tat na syat. Nothing is there which is not Brahmatmaka, he says. So this is a very important concept that we have to understand, which is Samanadikaranya. And I think with Jnananandaika Swarupaha, he is sure that though he is Kalyanaikatana, he is Jnananandaika Swarupa. It is like Samanya Vishesha Nirdesha. Samanya is generally, it is told that all auspicious qualities. Here specifically it is telling Jnananandaika Swarupaha, Jnanananda Swarupa, Unarvind Murti, Namalva says. So that is the Swarupa of Paramatman, which is here told by Bhagavad Ramanuja in a most wonderful phrase, Svetara Samasta Vilakshana Ananta Jnananandaika Swarupaha, which is something that very, very fundamental to our Siddhanta. Though it is explained in great detail in all the works, here we have, because we have to understand some basic concepts, so I went into a little more detail of this, and this is a very basic concept that we have to understand. So I have tried to explain within my limited capacity the concept of Samanadikaranya and Svetara Samasta Vilakshanatva of Paramatma. And with that, I think we have come to the end of this class, and I conclude today's session and leave the class open for question and answers. Thank you very much. So any of you have any? Please unmute and then tell them. Ask the question.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Can I ask a question? Please excuse my ignorance. And Jivatma interchangeably. Are we saying Chit and Atma are the same?
Atma, Chitta means Jnanashraya, Chetana. So Chitta includes all the Jivatmas.
Okay. So it is alright to use them interchangeably. Is that so?
Yeah, Chitta is Atma only, Jivatma only. Chitta is a generic term to say Jnanashraya, and Jivatmas are Jnanashraya. So Jivatmas are Chitta, Chetana.
So we do not look at them as mind and soul.
No, mind is Manas. That is very different.
Okay. So
that is Achetana. Mind is Achetana. It is a modification of Ahankara. It is from Prakriti. It is made of matter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there are no more questions, shall we conclude, Sampath?
Conclude.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.